The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the broadcast hosts, and to my right is a man who will mess up a fan if he needs to. That is Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
That's right. It's me and Anthony Rendon. Don't cross us. Don't cross us, because if you do, bad things will happen.
Bad things
happen. But I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's been a while since we've recorded. Since we went live, but about 3 weeks or so. But yeah, I'm ready to get to some sports talk tonight. It's a good night to talk sports.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. It's good to be back. I'm ready to, there's been the crack of the bat. Baseball's back. We got NFL stuff to talk about. And
yep,
I'm sure we'll get into some shenanigans. And Frank Wycheck, he and I talked before the show. And he also has input. So it's going to be a wild ride.
Well, I hope we get that news laterally.
Yeah.
So, anyway, before we go, look out.
All of Buffalo wants to destroy us now.
Whatever. I've been destroyed before. Anyway, before we continue, I just want to want to let you know about our social media channels right down below here on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. No Creds REQ. Facebook.com/No Creds REQ. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/No Creds REQ. Subscribe, like, share, do all that stuff. And if you're listening on any of the platforms, subscribe to the podcast. Megaphone is our primary hub, but we can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast, and also rate and review. If you leave a nice review, I might even read it on the air. And since this is a live show and this is a heavily engaged, forgot to mention, smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Smash responsibly. But Dustin, I know you've been waiting to hear the sound.
Oh, I have.
For the last 3 weeks. This is a listener and viewer engagement show. Engage with us. We want to hear your comments. I'm gonna hit that beautiful, beautiful harp sound. You got it, folks. Just engage with us during the show. Leave a comment. We will, if it's disgusting and awful, I'll definitely read it. I'll definitely read it for sure.
That's one of my favorite sounds. That harp doesn't get old.
Absolutely. Dustin, play ball! It's opening week in Major League Baseball, and we're going to do our Major League Baseball opening week overreactions. What's your impression? Well, before we get into our biggest surprises, disappointments, our way too early MVP candidates, and we'll talk about Anthony Rendon and what the crap he was thinking. What's your opinion? Have you watched any games? What's your opinion on the pitch clock, some of the rules? Let me pick your brain a little bit about what you think about this about the season so far.
So the big thing here is I haven't watched as many games as I've wanted to, but I have watched primarily Yankees baseball, and I was watching a bit of, I think it was Diamondbacks. It was regional coverage. Sometimes you turn on the MLB network, you get what you get, but I like that. I like, kind of playing roulette. I love being able to watch my Yankees, but I like to turn on MLB network and see what kind of random game they've got going. But my biggest impact, in my opinion, the biggest impact of the change to me and I'll be very eager to get your thoughts on it. But the pitch clock, to me,
Yeah.
I enjoy the pitch clock. I really enjoy it. I think it brings a speed to the game. It quickens it up. I was on Twitter scrolling as you do, or it might have been Instagram. I'm not sure which one of the
Doom scrolling like you do on social media.
the social media giants, but they had a contrast between an at bat last year and an at bat this year. And the contrast was like, it was laughable. It was an unrecognizable at bat because the thing that I didn't think about, and I'm sure that players have come out and commented on it. I know Max Scherzer did initially, but it's escaping me exactly what he said. But I forgot how much batters could also control the pace by stepping out of the box and adjusting their gloves and doing everything that they do. The pitch clock doesn't leave room for all of that. And I, for one, am a fan of it. I know it takes a little bit of perhaps it takes a little bit of the gamesmanship out of the game, like the struggle between the pitcher and the batter for control of pace of game. I did have a random thought that I'd love to see what Hideo Nomo would have done if he had to pitch to a pitch clock. but I, for one, am a proponent of the pitch clock. I think it does what it was meant to do, which is speed up the game. And I realized I like being able to watch a game at a quicker pace. I like being able to turn on a game and realize, okay, this could be done in like 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes, instead of saddling up for something that you know is going to be 3.5 hours. I think it gives a little bit of a modern take on the game of baseball. And I know baseball is a game more than any other, in my opinion, of the American sports that is steeped in tradition.
Mhm.
But I find myself enjoying the pitch clock, that it's there. And also, I was watching a bit of a game at the bowling alley in my Monday night league, and I'm like, I find myself looking up being like, oh, there's only 3 seconds left on the pitch clock. Is he gonna, it's
Mhm.
kind of like you get that same feeling of when a quarterback is trying to get the team to the line and you wonder if the play clock's gonna run out. I kind of like it.
Yeah, we've actually already had one game that has gone under 2 hours this season.
Wow.
Marlins and Twins on Tuesday night went 1 hour and 57 minutes.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing because that would be unheard of
and
before the pitch clock.
Sandy Alcantara pitched a complete game shutout that game, and it was only a 1-0 game, but it was a sight to see if you were there at the ball at Marlins Park or whatever it's called now. I can't remember what the name of the ballpark is, but it's a sight. It was something to see. It's 1 hour. You get there and basically you sit down and the game's over. And
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani has made history already.
Oh
He's
man.
he's the first player to have a pitch clock violation as a pitcher, and he's also made an out from violating for a pitch clock violation in the batter's box.
Poor Shohei. Poor Shohei.
You know what though? He's still one of the best players in the game. Unfortunately, he's on a team that's basically the San Diego Chargers of the AL
Yes.
West.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's the thing too. That's the thing is Mike Trout is also out there, and you have to wonder if he was on a team like, I mean, it's going to sound terrible, but if he was on a team like the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Giants, even, if he was on a team like that, would it make an impact? Would people view him differently? Because I feel like people just don't understand how good he is.
He wouldn't be in baseball purgatory.
Yeah.
Because it seems outside of Houston, that entire division is baseball purgatory.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It just things kind of get lost down there. But and the other thing is, like, I know the Mariners. Some people think the Mariners could surprise this year. Some people, but the Angels, they just people know them. If they know them at all, they know them for giving Pujols that huge contract. At least
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've found. I don't like you're right. They are, and I mean this is no insult to their fans or anybody that really cares, but they
No,
really are.
we appreciate the rally monkey on No
Yeah,
Country
yeah, yeah, yeah. Except I was not a fan of the Rally Monkey and what
in
was it?
2002.
Yeah, 2002. I did not like the Rally Monkey. I was going to guess 2003.
No,
I
I
knew
want to
was
make
in
it. I want to
college.
make it into a hat.
Yeah, yeah. I was not a fan. And you know, Sosha's a hell of a manager, though. You got to give him that.
Mm-hmm.
But it really are. They are the San Diego Chargers of baseball, and look what happened to the Chargers, unfortunately. And those San Diego fans showed up for their team every week, and they're not in San Diego anymore.
Nope. That's a very sad. It's a very sad thing, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have two of the biggest stars in baseball, and nobody knows.
Mm-hmm. Barely anybody watches. I think part of it is the fact that they're in a bad team. They're stuck in a perpetually bad team, and the other fact is they play in California.
Yes,
And I don't know about you, Dustin, but I'm in bed by the time they start playing. Playing their home games usually.
Usually, it's the same reason I miss a lot of Oiler games when they're actually on. It's just they start too late. And I used to be the most night owl person. And it's not like I'm going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock, but I most nights I'm going to bed by 11 now, and the game is maybe a half hour into it. You know, it's too late, and also they're like second fiddle in California to so many things. I mean, California, you got the Lakers, you got the Dodgers, you got the Giants, you got all those teams carry bigger market shares, and then the Angels are just kind of there, and it's tragic.
At least they're not the Anaheim Angels
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Those goofy uniforms they had back in the midnight and the late '90s, mid to late '90s,
yep, yep. With the stripes and the wing and everything,
and the A wing.
and it wasn't was Darren Erstad on those teams? I'm trying to remember.
Jim Edmonds was on those teams.
Oh yeah, Jim Edmonds. That's right.
I believe Darren Erstad was on there. Mo Vaughn.
Yeah,
Vaughn was on that team. We've got a couple of comments already from our good buddy Brian Snow from Snowman Multimedia. Good evening, folks. Good evening to you, Snowman. He says, "Let's get the likes up when you come in, everyone." Yes, absolutely. Please, 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 smash that like button whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. Smash responsibly. Oh, you could also give us stars. To support the show on Facebook now. So wow. Absolutely. If you could do a like and you can share some stars, that would be fantastic.
Oh man, excellent. Yeah, and always nice to see you, Snowman, in the chat.
And shameless plug, Coffee with McCarthy, 8:35 a.m. on Monday morning.
Tune in.
It's 1 hour. Especially this past week, this past week was fun. I'll have to post a highlight later. So let's get into our overreactions already. The biggest surprises, Dustin. I want to hear from you. Who are some of your biggest surprises? Whether it be team, it be individual performances. Who's your biggest surprise so far?
Biggest surprise for me, I would say, is I'm gonna go with a team to start things off, and for me it's got to be the Texas Rangers. Their record is 4-2 right now, and I will color myself guilty as charged. But when I heard that DeGrom signed with the Rangers, I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those signs where you're like, really, Texas? You're reaching.
I was like, they're throwing money, and I said, DeGrom, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy, and that's been the key thing with DeGrom the last few years, as a lot of Mets fans will tell you. When healthy, it's a big asterisk, and also he kind of got beat around a little bit in his first start. DeGrom did on opening day.
I watched that game actually. I watched a good chunk of that game, and he allowed 4 runs in 3 innings to the Phillies.
Yes, and it did not look good. And I'm just like, yeah, this is typical Texas, throwing money at things. It's not going to work out. But I mean, then he bounced back in a big way in his second start. And Texas, their offense has been surprising to start the year. And here they are, 4-2. I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll last. But I have to say that was one of the biggest things I was shocked about to start the season.
And they swept that same Phillies team in 3 straight. They clobbered them on that Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 16. Was it 16-3?
Yes.
That game, and then they wound up beating them again on the final days of that homestand. So, or that opening homestand. So Texas is definitely one of those teams. I if they continue this pace, and again, we're only in the first week of the season. We have our first full week of this season just passed by. If they can they continue this pace? I don't know. Again, it's a long season. It's 162 games. It's a lot of games. It's a marathon. And I mentioned
Yes.
on Snowman. I mentioned on Snowman this past Monday. I said, I love baseball. The opening weekend is such a great thing, but by September, October, you're like, just get it over with already.
I know. Yeah, that is
a marathon.
Yes, it really is, and that's why we joke that it's going to be our overreaction because it is, right now. But it's still fun, and it's still baseball to me will always have a little special place in my heart because to me it signifies the real start of spring. And I always love that time of year when you first see baseball games on TV, and it's that old saying of hope springs eternal, and the days are longer, and you just feel like you're coming out of the doldrums of winter, because even winter's most ardent fans would probably admit that at a certain point it gets to be long. So there's not many feelings quite like early baseball. I really enjoy it.
Well, in my neighborhood, it's not only when baseball starts, it's a true sign of spring. It's when the ice cream man comes around the neighborhood. When it's also a true sign of spring. So yeah, good times in my neighborhood.
And we're there. And then as far as individual performance, there's one player that stuck out to me a little bit to start the season. He recently signed with the Brewers, and he is off to a hot start with his new team. He's got 10 RBIs, 7 runs, and he is batting .500 with 3 home runs right now. He's had 18 at bats and he's batting .500. I do not think this will last, but Brian Anderson has had a shocking start to the season for me. He's on fire right now, and it's so early. You always wonder, are these things going to start? Noah Syndergaard, I saw his first start as a Dodger. He looked kind of like the pitcher we all thought he was going to be with the Mets before injuries and a variety of things. And you're just wondering, is this going to last? But it's one of the best parts about early baseball because somebody can jump right out of the gate, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But
Right.
What about you? What do you think has been one of your big standouts so far?
Well, as far as teams go, my cousin Matt is going to be super ecstatic when I mention this team, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh,
they have started the year off 4-2. They just swept the Boston Red Sox in Fenway.
I'm a big Pirates fan right now.
Yeah, my 2 favorite teams are the Yankees and whoever beats the Red Sox. And right now, the Pittsburgh Pirates are my other favorite team. But I've happened to watch some highlights on the Major League Baseball YouTube channel. I always seem to catch them. I caught their opening day win in Cincinnati. They lost. They dropped the last 2. They go into Fenway and they absolutely shock. I think Major League Baseball in particular, especially the fans, especially fans in Boston, going, "What the hell is this?"
This is not how I expected.
This is not how I expected the Red Sox to play. I want my cash back. My cash back, Kayam. But Pittsburgh's fun to watch. They're a fun team to watch. O'Neal Cruz.
Rocket for an arm.
That guy's got a rocket for an arm, although I saw one error where I was like, why did you spike that baseball? But he's an explosive. He's one of the more underrated stars. I mean, he broke out last year. He was called up, I think, halfway through the year. And you saw a glimpse of what he could do. But behind the plate, You saw what he could do at the plate. He's
Mhm.
got base stealing ability. He's an excellent fielder. He has a rocket arm as a shortstop. My goodness. I think his top throw last year was 104, 105 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Burst.
it was unbelievable.
It
And
was
that's and
unreal.
I don't want to be hyperbolic, but you jog
Power
my
through it.
memory. You jog my memory about O'Neal Cruz. Like, I remember seeing that throw last year that he just, I mean, it was a rope. You know what it reminded me of was, I was like, who else could throw a ball like that was Bo Jackson. And
Oh gosh.
we all know the athlete he was. And I'm not comparing O'Neal Cruz to Bo Jackson. I think Bo Jackson was a once in a generation talent, and just a freak athlete all the way around, and a lot of just his body didn't work like the rest of us, but
No.
but O'Neal Cruz has a little bit of that dynamicism to him. Like, you just watch him play and you're like, wow, this guy's a little different.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh, decent pitching. Mitch Keller had a great game yesterday. 7 strikeouts against the Red Sox.
Mhm.
G1 Bay
Oh yeah.
he's a second outfielder. He's a special talent.
Yeah,
O'Neal
he's got
Cruz,
some
as I
speed.
mentioned.
Mhm.
O'Neal Cruz, as I mentioned. Carlos Santana, not the guitar player, but the baseball player, the first baseman.
He's
Um,
still real smooth though.
he is very smooth, yes. Brian Reynolds, who was a low-key MVP candidate. I'll get to him in just a moment or two. And they also brought back Andrew McCutcheon to
Mhm.
be a veteran, a veteran leader on this team. So again, this is it's only week one. We're only in week one of the season,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna keep my eye on the Pittsburgh Pirates this year, for this particular reason. They're a fun team to watch. They're fast. They can hit for power, and they have decent pitching.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If Roenzi Contreras can put it all together, they could really have something, because he has people that would know a lot better than me say that his stuff is just dynamic. And if he can put everything together, you saw some glimpses of what he could be when he was called up last year for that short period of time. He didn't really look great in his first start or so. But if Roenzi Contreras can put it together, I mean, what an arm he has. So
Mm,
Pittsburgh's got some fun players.
yeah, they'll be a fun team to watch this year. For my biggest surprise to open the season in terms of individual performances, Gleyber Torres. He was kind of left for. I wouldn't say he was kind of left for dead last year with the Yankees. He didn't have a great season compared to his other teammates like Aaron Judge, Arson Judge. But which, by the way, if you go to bonfire.com and look for the No Credentials Required store, you can get yourself an Arson Judge T-shirt. I made it. I designed that shirt too.
Nice.
Uh, but but Gleyber Torres is having a really decent. He's had a decent start. 421 batting average. He's got 2 home runs. He finally hit the 100 home run mark for his career, and he's got 6 RBIs. And he's getting some hits in some pretty tight spots for the Yankees. And I think if he could continue this pace and contribute, he could be one of the unsung heroes for the Yankees this year, especially if they go farther into the playoffs.
Hmm.
We know the Yankees got off to that really hot start last year. Then August showed up, and
Yeah.
they kind of fell to the earth a little bit. But then they went up salvaging their season, won first place pretty handily. Still, just we're both Yankees. Full disclosure, Dustin and I are Yankees fans.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
begging you, Yankees, New York Yankees. We're begging you. Please don't do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gave us a scare last year.
Yeah. We know you have the hitting, just pitching. Come on. And it doesn't help that obviously we go out and we get Montas last year at the deadline, and he's hurt, and I believe
Mm.
Carlos Rodon is
Carlos
starting.
Rodon.
He's
Yep.
hurt.
Frankie Montes is out. I think
Yep.
he had shoulder surgery. I think he's not going to be back. I don't think he's going to play this year.
Yeah.
Carlos Rodon, he's going to be pitching. I guess he's doing light throws right now. And Luis Severino
Yeah.
started the year in the DL with the shoulder strain. So
Yeah, which Severino, unfortunately, that's been his MO lately. He just can't seem to he pitches well when he's out there, but he just hasn't been able to stay out there.
Yeah, but there's hope in the Yankees on the Yankees roster. I mean, right now they're in second place. They're only 2 games back of Tampa, who's off to a 6-0 start. I mean, who saw that coming? But then again, look who they played the first 2 games, their first 2 series of the year. I mean, they played atrocious teams.
Yeah.
So, but I have hope for the Yankees, especially for their pitching. And they picked up, they brought up. I'm trying to bring up the scoring right now for the box scoring. Who pitched on Sunday? That was Brito. Brito.
Yeah.
Brito had an outstanding start on Sunday. 5 full innings, 2 hits surrendered, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Giants couldn't seem to solve him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he continues if he follows that kind of performance, then we'll see what happens with the rest of the roster.
Yeah, and I will say Garrett Cole looked every bit the opening day ace, in his start. So that is, I tend to be pessimistic with the Yankees sometimes and be like, they never have enough pitching just because we've seen so many hot offensive starts. And we always know, my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, he said, offense is great, but pitching is what you need because offense always falters at some point. And usually my dad's been around for in a month or so here. It'll be for 81 years. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to, he's seen a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
So,
and Aaron Judge continues his MVP type performance last year. He's hitting 348 and he had a home run in his first at bat this season, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You got to pick up where you left off from last year. So
yeah, I mean this could be a very interesting season because overall, I believe home runs have been way up to start the season, as have stolen bases. Stolen bases are way up, and I will say, just as a little, because I do tend to keep an eye on things in the AL East because that's the division the Yankees are in. The Orioles appear that they're going to be aggressive on the base paths, and they're starting to get to the point where they have some talent there. They have Anthony Santander. They have Grayson Rodriguez, who was just called up due to an injury in their pitching staff. He's a highly touted prospect. He looked good, albeit it was in a loss. His first inning was a little rocky, but then he settled in and he looked like the prospect that everybody thought he could be. Adley Rutschman is a good young catcher for Baltimore.
5 for 5 on opening day with 2 home runs, I think it was.
He's also, by all accounts, despite his young age, he is a steadying locker room presence, appears to be taking on a leadership role. So, I mean, I think the days of Baltimore being a pushover may be coming to an end here.
Oh yeah, I think the AL East is going to be one of those tightly contested. They're going to be a highly contested division. You got the Yankees, of course. You got Toronto. Yeah. A lot of people think they'll win the division this year. The Rays, you can never count out the Rays.
No.
And the Orioles are going to be. They had a very good season. They had a surprisingly good season last year. Yeah. I think they continue that pace this year. Boston. What are you gonna say about them?
Yeah.
But we're gonna move on to our biggest disappointments, and I'll lead off this category in terms of teams. The Philadelphia Phillies. What a stinker they've put up so far this year. They're 1-5. They were swept in Texas. They took 1 out of 2 against the Yankees, but in the last 4 losses, they've scored a grand total of 7 runs. And that's pretty pathetic. I wouldn't say pathetic, but that's pretty.
Pedestrian.
It's pretty bad what's that?
Pedestrian.
It's exactly. It's very pedestrian for a team that has such an explosive lineup like they have with Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, and I can't remember some
Bryce Harper, right?
Bryce Harper, J.R. Realmuto. Some of the bats they have in their lineup, you're only scoring 7 runs in 4 games. I mean, that's just it's not great. It's not a great start for Robbie Thompson's team.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to wonder if it's a little bit of the World Series hangover, even though
pennant hangover. Yeah,
Yeah, even though they didn't win it, it's tough to come back. But I will say, and much to my chagrin, I am playing fantasy baseball this year, and Aaron Nola is my ace, and he had a bumpy ride in his start. So yeah, things are not firing in Philly right now, but I will say they've got some hitters, namely Kyle Schwarber. I was thinking about it. He got off to a laughable start last year, and then he caught fire. So you never know. That's the benefit of baseball being such a long game. I mean, I will call myself, I will confess, I was ignorant when the Phillies fired Joe Girardi and they were not doing well. I said, well, that's the end of them, and I just kind of discounted them, and then they started winning games, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, they made the playoffs? And then, obviously we know what happened, It was quite a turnaround. So who knows? Maybe they can catch that lightning in a bottle again. But yeah, to start the season, not great.
Now, in terms of individual performance, Christian Yelich, more like Christian Yuck, 23 at bats, 11 strikeouts, and he's only hitting, I think, 231. Terrible. I mean, this is a guy who was an MVP candidate a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
And he's hitting 217 right now. Has 5 hits, has 5 singles, 1 double, no home runs, no RBIs, 11 strikeouts. Oh, that's not a great start to this season if you're a Christian Yelich fan.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, Christian Yelich is a Yelich or Yelich. I never figured out what.
I can never figure it out.
Yeah. He is a player that I enjoyed watching, especially when he was coming up with the Marlins, and then when he went to the Brewers, he had a really great run. But the last couple of years, he just hasn't been able to return to the form that he had, and it's unfortunate because I like watching him play the game. I think he has passion, but I don't know what's happened the last couple of years, but he just hasn't been the same.
No, he hasn't, and it's disappointing to see what he's been doing. But if you're a Brewers fan, you hope he picks it up. But there's other players on the team that could pick up the slack too. Dustin, who are your biggest disappointments so far?
My biggest disappointment, and again, this skews heavily towards my fantasy team. Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy had a great season with the Oakland A's last year. I believe it was the Oakland A's. And he signed a contract with Atlanta. The Braves paid him handsomely to have him come be their backstop. And he is currently off to a start. He has 1 RBI, so he does have an RBI, but his average is 100 right now. Yes, you heard that right. His average is 100, and he has a 350 OPS. So he's not exactly lighting it up, and you have to wonder if maybe he's trying to live up to the contract he got. But I do think he is a good enough player where he will right the ship to some degree, especially at catcher. Your batting average isn't. I think if you're batting 250 as a catcher, you're like really doing something. I don't know what it is about that position, but yeah, Sean Murphy, I would say, probably not the way he wanted to start the season after signing that big contract.
I'm trying to find, in terms of pitching, the worst performance so far.
And I would say it's Justin Verlander because he didn't even get to start for the Mets. But
Spencer. No, the worst performance so far is Spencer Turnbull of Detroit. 0-2 with a 13.5 ERA.
Oof.
And a WHIP of 2.25, and he's allowing a 394 average batting average to whoever he faces. Now, it's not as bad as Miles Mikolas
Oof.
of St. Louis, who's allowed a 413 batting average
Yeah,
to his
that's
opponents.
that's not great either. Flaherty comes to mind. Jack Flaherty, I think he also did not look good in his return start. I believe he's also on the Cardinals, if I'm thinking of the right pitcher. So yeah, there's been a couple bad pitching performance, but poor Spencer Turnbull. It's going to take him to bring that ERA down. It's going to take him like half the season.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
It's I always say in my mind, I feel like pitchers' ERAs are kind of like the inverse of bowling averages. Bowling averages take forever to go up, and they can go down real easy. And ERA is kind of the opposite. If it can balloon up real quick, and it takes forever to come down.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to our way too early MVP for this year. I'm curious to find out who your way too early MVP of the league is, there, Dustin.
Oh, I have to say, it kind of spills over from my best individual performance so far. Brian Anderson. I do not think that this will hold up, but anytime you got a 500 batting average in the first week of the season, I think it was 3 home runs, 10 RBI. Those are some crazy numbers. If he were to somehow keep up that pace, that would be an all-time season right there.
Yeah. I mentioned him earlier. My very early MVP candidate is Brian Reynolds of Pittsburgh. 417 batting average, 4 home runs, 7 RBI so far this season. His bat is on fire.
All right. If I had any faith, and maybe I don't because I'm just crazy, but I will bet you a bag of Invader coffee of your choosing. This is the battle of the Bryans. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'll take Anderson. Okay. You take Reynolds.
I'll take Reynolds.
I'm gonna lose this bet, but hey, battle of the Bryans. Better overall season. We'll take home runs, batting average, and RBI. How's that?
So we're going triple crown. We're going the triple crown.
Yeah.
The Bryans triple crown.
Yeah, battle of the Bryans.
Battle of the Bryans.
So you may as well send me the coffee that you want now because.
Oh please, I'll take the I'll take the Day of the Dead, please.
You want the whole bean?
Yeah, whole bean.
Okay.
Make sure my coffee's whole bean.
All right.
And before we move on to our first commercial break, we got to talk about this incident that happened over the weekend with Anthony Rendon of the Los Angeles Angels having an altercation with a fan in Oakland. He was served a 4-game suspension. The Rendon accused the fan of calling him the B word.
Yeah.
And then apparently he took a swipe before he walked away from the fan. Apparently he grabbed the shirt collar of the fan. And this is what he said after the game. This is what he said upon his suspension. He said, quote, "It sucked. My emotions got the best of me. I'm usually pretty good about interacting with fans. Have fun, ... have fun with it. But the gentleman and we spoke on the phone. We both apologized about what happened, and so we're both ready to move forward." You don't put your hands on a fan.
No, you can't. You can't. And I will say, I think in general, fans are getting a little too out of hand in some cases. Fans,
yeah.
Just because you bought a ticket to go to the game does not give you a license to say like horrific things to people. And, they wouldn't be able to do that at our jobs and get away with it. But still, you got to realize it comes, and it's easy for me to say, because I'm not a famous person. I'm not a person that has to play in front of crowds each day. I'm not, who knows what was going on in Anthony Rendon's day, but you have to know it's part of being a professional athlete. things like that. You're going to get things said to you, whether it's right or wrong. You're going to have to deal with things when fans cross the line. It's a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan, you have the right when you buy a ticket, you have the right to your seat. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have the right to go after players. You especially don't have the right to hop on the field between innings and propose to your girlfriend on the field. I don't know if you saw that clip, Dustin.
Oh, I did not.
Oh,
no.
I gotta bring up that clip. This Dodgers fan in Los Angeles during I think it was either Friday or I think it was either Thursday or Friday, decides to become a fool and go onto the field between innings and propose to his girlfriend, and he gets absolutely meleeed by security.
He couldn't dodge security.
Beautiful tackle. Oh my goodness. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, this is Dodgers fan proposal. You gotta look that up. I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up.
All right.
Oh man. Oh, but this was just yeah, you don't just because you pay for a ticket, it doesn't give you the right to go after a player. It doesn't give you the right to, I mean, you can heckle them, you can heckle players, you can be jovial, but you can't call them the B word, and you can't say absolutely despicable things to them either.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's, as a podcast, I mean, this is going to be a pretty easy stance to take, so I know you're with me. Let's just refrain from saying anything to the players' families when they bring them to the stadium, please.
Especially the players' families.
Yeah.
That's because they're there to enjoy their families. They're there to watch their family, and you don't go after the player. I mean, I remember back in the day, I think it was. I mean, even Yankees fans were going after A-Rod's ex-wife at one point. I remember that. I was like, that's horrible. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to play this clip.
Oh, man.
Ready for it? Bam!
Oh, he stuck him, man. The NFL's got to look that guy up, huh? Give him a contract.
The number one pick in the NFL draft. The Carolina Panthers select this guy.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I want to see that again. I want to see it again. Bam!
Oh, pancake.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to love the little music that comes on after it.
Yeah. So moral of the story, don't do stupid stuff like this, please.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to talk about we're going to talk NFL, and we'll close up the show with a pretty fun topic. I think would be to say the least. So we'll have this word from Invader Coffee, and stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. Invader Coffee, a proud affiliate sponsor of this particular podcast. And you can use the show. You can support the show by clicking on the link in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or you're listening on the podcast side. You can use our affiliate link, and you save 15% off your order at checkout with the promo code BELLYUP. Get yourselves some excellent coffee. Dustin, I don't know about you. I've actually ordered a new flavor today. It's called the Outsider Blend, and with every purchase of this particular bag of coffee, you could win yourself a muscle car. And I'm looking at the car right now. I'm going to share the page. This car, it's a Chevy Camaro SS. It's gorgeous. Look at that thing.
Oh man, that's looking good.
That is a dynamite looking car, and
yeah, I'm gonna have to order a bag.
Oh, I ordered a bag today. So yeah, for every one bag equals one entry for this particular giveaway. And again, use our link in the description. That helps out the show. We earn a little bit of, I'll say we learn a little bit of coin for every order we get. And you use the promo code BELLYUP to get 15% off your order. So yeah, Invader Coffee. Get yourself some coffee. Get the Outsider blend. One bag equals one entry for the muscle car giveaway. I can't wait to win this car.
Uh-oh. Rystradamus predicting it right now.
Uh-oh, here we go.
But what are you going to do, though? I hear it in the distance. What are you going to do, though, if in the Battle of the Bryans, you win, and then I buy you this Outsider coffee, and I win the car?
I'll say thanks for the coffee. We're no longer friends.
Oh, you don't want to ride my car?
Well, only if you're offering.
Oh, man.
No, but seriously, folks, get yourself some excellent coffee, air roasted, premium beans made from the best beans on earth. It's great tasting. It's a great tasting coffee. You want to get yourself some. So hit the link in the description. Use promo code BELLYUP. Get 15% off your order. And you can win yourself a Chevy Camaro SS.
What's not to like?
What's not to like? What's not to like? All right, so let's talk some NFL, Dustin. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm being held hostage with this Aaron Rodgers to the Jets situation. I keep hearing week after week, oh, deal will be done by the end of the week. Deal will be done by the end of the week. It's been almost a month since we first heard this news that Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to the New York Jets. And as a New York Jets fan, I'll be perfectly honest. I'll be upfront and personal. I've done Victory Mondays on this program, on this particular podcast with my buddy Dan. I would get his opinion, but I feel like I'm being held hostage. And I just want this deal to go through.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as a football fan, you're sick of hearing about it too. So I want to get your what you're thinking about that.
I mean, I'm with the Jets on this one though, because I've heard, and maybe you can fill me in as a person who follows the team more, but I've heard that the biggest hang up on the deal not being done is the compensation. Because reportedly the Packers want a first round pick. But how can you? I am with the Jets. How can you cannot give away a first round pick for, yes, he's Aaron Rodgers, but he's also Aaron Rodgers that's 39 years old. He's also Aaron Rodgers that is at the stage of his career that he decides year to year, and no slight against him. There are players that do this, but they decide year to year whether they're going to play or not. So you can't give up a first round draft pick for what could be a long-term rental. You can't do that because you don't know whether you're going to have Aaron Rodgers beyond a year or not. As far as I'm concerned, two second-round picks that the Jets are willing to?
The Jets are willing to give up 2 second-round picks, one this year, one next year, but and I believe a fourth-round pick that's conditional.
Mm-hmm.
It could turn into a first-round pick if Aaron Rodgers plays both years of the 2 years of his remaining contract, and they go to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's reasonable. I'm just going to say it. I don't know much about the team, but it seems to me that as a GM, Brian Gutekunst is not good at his job. He
isn't.
First of all, he soured negotiations. If you believe him, he said that he tried to reach out to Aaron Rodgers multiple times, but they clearly did something to completely sour Aaron Rodgers on a team that he loved to play for. And some of it's on Rodgers because the rumor is that he took it as a personal affront that they drafted Jordan Love. But at some point, you got to realize, Aaron, you were on the other side of it. You were the future when Favre was playing, and he took it much the same way you're taking it now. But other than that, Brian Gutekunst is just he seems to have just widened the gap between a quarterback that they say, oh, we would love to have Aaron back, we want him back, and then just to be like, oh, he's not coming back. But then you're almost like the spurned, I don't know how to put it, maybe like the spurned girlfriend that says, oh, well, if you're going to move on, then I'm at least going to I want to keep the ring, and I want the house, and I want the dog, and then you can move on. It's like you can't, it just, he seems to be just bungling this in every way possible.
Yeah, it's the situation's, it's not, I mean, the deal's going to happen. That's my positive.
I think
expectations
it's
are my expectations
too far.
Yeah. And I've said this before. My enthusiasm is very tempered at this point because of the fact that it's not official.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, the three biggest hangups are the contract, Aaron Rodgers' contract, because if I guess on June or July 1st, his roster bonus, and his contract is worth $60 million for this year alone. Wow. It's like $59.525 million or something like that. So that's one of the biggest hangups. So I think the Jets are trying to do is they're trying to restructure the deal so they don't have to pay as much, because that's Joe Douglas's MO, is not having to overpay for players. And the other thing is the compensation. It's the draft pick compensation. So you got two little hangups, and as a fan, you just want to get done, because we don't want to see, Jets fans, we don't want to see another season of Zach Wilson overthrowing players or throwing interceptions to other teams. We can't. This franchise, this fan base is already star-crossed and snake-bitten enough. We don't want to see that anymore. And we were promised in this era that Joe Douglas came into, and he's done a really great job. Most of last year's draft picks, they all hit. They all hit in different ways. So we want to see this team win. We want to see this team succeed. They're not going to do it with a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
And I know they say that we believe in Zach Wilson. We want him to develop. We want him to get better. You're not going to do it. It's not going to get done if he doesn't have somebody to mentor him. Joe Flacco did his thing. Great. Thank you, Joe Flacco. We appreciate your help. We appreciate all the years, the 3 years you were here in Florham Park. But if you really want to succeed, you got to bring in this kid's childhood hero. His childhood hero was Aaron Rodgers. And if you bring somebody like him in, you can teach him how to prepare for games. You can teach him the nuances of the quarterback position, what to look for. It would be a great thing. But I'm just, at this point, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm waiting day after day after day. If it's like day 34 of Aaron Rodgers watch, or day 30, it's get the deal done, guys. Come on, be adult. Get the deal done. And we'll see you at training camp. We'll see you at OTAs.
Yeah, because this whole thing, I mean, Alan Lazard is on the Jets now. They signed a former backup QB who was backing up Rodgers at one point. Like there are just so many things that the Jets are trying to do. And Aaron also has gone out and made his intentions clear. So you're kind of past the point of no return. What's he going to do? Go back to Green Bay? He's not going to go back there. And Green Bay supposedly doesn't want him anymore.
Yeah.
But they're trying to get everything they can for him on the way out the door.
Yeah, and I remember from the McAfee interview, he said, I love my time in Green Bay. I got nothing against the fans of Green Bay, but they made the decision 2 years ago when they drafted Jordan Love. They were going to move on for me, and eventually we're going to have to come to an agreement of when that was going to happen. And now is the time to happen. He wants to join the Jets. Somehow somehow the triumvirate of Woody Johnson, Joe Douglas, and Robert Saleh, who, by the way, looks if you saw that picture from on the golf course today, Robert Saleh looked absolutely yoked. I would not want to fight him.
No.
But this triumvirate convinced him to say, "Hey, come join our team. Look at our defense. This is a top 10 defense. It could be a top 5 defense with the right with the right players in place in 2023. This offense is young. This is a young squad. They're hungry. They just need the right player to motivate them to the next level. The next level right now is playoffs. You could argue division division title, but I think they're at least a year away from that, and Buffalo's going to be tough. Miami is okay, and New England's falling back. We'll get to that in just a second. But this is a team on the rise, and Aaron Rodgers wants to join a team that's on the rise. I mean, I know they were stiff they stiffed the Super Bowl over the last couple seasons, but they can't seem to get over the hump. And I think if they join this Jets team, who is hungry and young and wants to win, he could put them over the top.
Yeah, he could. And I mean, I think they are. I mean, they would at least have, in my mind, they would have a realistic shot at the division. I don't want to get your hopes too high, but let's say Breece Hall comes back and is what he was, and that defense continues to gel and improve and just play at the level that they were playing. You add a quarterback to that mix, it's going to be a tough combination to beat. And as you said, I mean, Buffalo will be tough in that division. There's no question about that. But the Dolphins have a team. They showed it last year, but their big wild card is the quarterback situation. I mean, you have to wonder if Tua comes back next year, if he's what he was to start the year. And also New England, yes, like you said, we'll get to them in just a moment. But I think you would have a realistic shot at bare minimum wild card, but also a realistic shot at the division title, I think.
Yeah. So Aaron Rodgers' watch continues. Let's talk about some of the big name stars who are free agents currently. Ezekiel Elliott, Odell Beckham Jr. Those are the two big stars that are out there still free agents. Do you have a prediction as to where you think they'll wind up?
Well, I'm going to say it. I almost fell for that April Fool's joke that said Ezekiel Elliott signed with Philly. I was very I thought it happened. It looked genuine, and I was like, wow. But I don't know where he's going to end up. Because honestly, okay, I'm going to make a little bit of a comparison here, but to me, like I think Lamar Jackson is probably going to he's probably going to be a Raven next year in spite of everything, because what other team out there is going to sign him? It's just the market's not there. The demand is not there. The Jets are in on Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Douglas said, we will not turn around and negotiate with Lamar because that would be bad faith to both, to both parties.
And another team that has already said we're not going to negotiate for Lamar Jackson is the New England Patriots.
Yes. The market appears, for whatever reason, and we've talked about it on previous episodes of this very podcast, the market for Lamar Jackson is not there. So it appears that unless a team like Atlanta comes out of the woodwork and decides to make a deal for Lamar Jackson, it appears that he will be a Raven next year. And I always felt that way with Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys. I felt like the one team that was going to stick by Ezekiel Elliott no matter what was the Cowboys, because Jerry Jones gave him that contract. Jerry Jones loved him some Ezekiel Elliott. But now that the Cowboys have said, hey, thank you, we'll allow you to pursue opportunities elsewhere, I don't know of another team that's going to pick him up, because the problem is, and I'm not saying this is nothing against Zeke as a player, But the only scenario that I could see him being brought in is a team that has another younger established running back, and they want to bring in Ezekiel Elliott to spell him, to be a backup, to be a change of pace back. And I think I am making a leap here, but from what I understand, Zeke still views himself as an every down guy. So
Yeah, and
I
he's
don't.
not. He's
Yeah,
not.
and I don't know. So I don't really know where there's a need for him. Do I think he could be good in Cincinnati if you pair him with Joe Mixon? Of course.
Yeah.
But I think he's gonna want to go somewhere where he can be the starter, and I just don't know where that
No.
is.
At this point in his career, he's a short yardage runner. I believe he had the most touchdowns this year within within the 5 yard line.
Mhm.
But that huge contract that absolutely destroyed the cap room for the Dallas Cowboys. They had the great rookie year in 2016, I think I want to say, or 2015.
Yeah, I think it was something. Hold on, let's take a
Let's
look.
look. Let's take a visit to profootballreference.com and find out. 2016. Yep. So
Okay.
2016, he wins Rookie of the Year. He has over 1,600 yards. Great season. Off season in 2017, leads the league in rushing in 2018, 2019, has another great season. And then you kind of see the
Yeah.
decline in his running yards start in 2020. And granted, it was a COVID. It was a I'm sorry, I won't say the word because we'll get tagged with the what is his information about this thing.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So the tail, you could see his decline, and with the rise of Tony Pollard over the last 2 years, especially,
Mhm.
you could see he wasn't going to be the every down starter. He's 27 years old, which in
In
running back
RB,
years,
yeah,
you consider him old.
yeah, yeah.
And
It-
and plus, you don't overpay running backs. I think he thinks he's still worth $15 million a year. He's not. I'm sorry.
mhm, mhm. So I really don't know. I really don't know what the landing spot for him could be. Now, Odell is a different matter.
Yeah.
Because Odell, whether you love him or hate him as a player, he clearly still has talent. He showed that when he was on the Rams. He his time in a Browns uniform, people like to lay some of it on Odell, people like to lay some of it on Baker. I don't think we'll ever fully understand the miscommunication that happened between the two of them. But I think he to some degree rehabilitated himself when he was in St. Louis, or Jesus, not St. Louis, when he was in LA. Um Stan Kroenke. But anyway,
Yes, Stan.
I think, and I know it's just a thing, but I am intrigued by this.
Yeah.
They said that there was interest from the New York Jets,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I could
I've heard.
see that. I could see that being a fit. It's a team where there are other weapons, so that he doesn't have to be number one. They have some other ways to move the ball, and if they have Aaron Rodgers, you think Odell's not going to listen to Aaron Rodgers? You think they're not going to try to get a rapport together? I think they will,
Mhm.
and because Odell did some great things with Eli Manning, and I would say Eli Manning, no disrespect to him, love him. I'll watch the Manning cast of Monday Night Football all day long.
Yep.
And we love Chad Powers on this podcast, but Aaron Rodgers is a superior quarterback to Eli Manning. Now, and also Odell knows New York. Didn't
Yes, he
it
does.
didn't it didn't always go swimmingly in his time with the Giants, but he was also a much younger man. I'm
Yeah.
willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe he's learned a few things over the years, maybe he's matured. I think the New York Jets could be a realistic landing spot for Odell Beckham Jr.
They've said the same thing about the Ezekiel Elliott too. The three teams they linked them to are the Eagles, the Bengals, and the Jets. And if you ask me if I want Ezekiel Elliott on my team. I'm gonna let Bishop Bullwinkle speak for me.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Listen.
Get Bishop Bullwinkle. Now we gotta get to this story that kind of, I wouldn't say broke, but just kind of developed over the last couple of days, in Mac Jones possibly being put on the trading block because of some disagreements he had with Bill Belichick over this past year. For Belly Up Sports, Caleb McChesney, he's our beat writer for the New England Patriots, wrote an excellent article on why the Patriots should not give up on Mac Jones. And Dustin, I don't know if you've heard much about this story, but it's kind of
not
fast developing. Would it be a mistake for the Patriots to trade Mac Jones, or does Bill Belichick have something different up his sleeve?
Okay, I'm going to say this with all due respect. I have not been a Belichick hater. He hasn't been at the top of my list. I always thought it was ridiculous how he dealt with the media. You cannot deny, though, he is one of the he will go down possibly as the greatest football coach of all time when things are said and done. If not, he's at least top 5. Okay. But I think the marriage of Brady and Belichick was a perfect marriage. You know, his success without Tom Brady, people like to go to that season in Cleveland. Oh, look what he was building. That's a long time ago. The other success was with Matt Castle when they took that Patriots team and went 11-5, or was it 10-6? I can't remember, and missed the playoffs that one year.
It was 10-6, yeah.
With Matt Castle. But other than that, his rate of success without Tom Brady has not been that good. And I think I don't want to say he's lost a step. I think as a coach, he's still one of the best schemers out there. But
yeah,
I think
he's one of the best defensive schemers, hands down.
Yeah, but I think as a GM, look at their last few drafts. He hasn't necessarily hit home runs.
No.
So I think it would be foolish to give up on Mac Jones this quickly. Mac Jones is still young. By all accounts, he's got talent. I remember when he ended up going to the Patriots, people said, well, of course this happens. He's the perfect fit for Bill Belichick's system. But also, you can't put a lot of this. Maybe he did have some disagreements with Belichick last year, but how could you not? You had a co-offensive playmaker, offensive play caller. There was no identity to the team's offensive scheme.
No, you had Matt Patricia calling plays. You had Joe Judge as quarterback coach.
Yeah.
Why?
How is that expected to work?
It's not. It's untenable. It's an untenable situation. They bring in Bill O'Brien. God bless him for his time in Houston, and went to Alabama, and now he's back with the Patriots.
Yeah, he spent some time at Penn State too, did he not?
He was head coach at Penn State during the transition of the Paterno years. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but so I think Belichick needs to. He's always, by all accounts, he's always been kind of a taskmaster, but I think he kind of needs to let his young quarterback speak here, because he developed that rapport with Tom, but maybe it was just that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were the perfect marriage of personalities. But
yeah,
I think it would be foolish, and I don't want to go so far as to say Bill Belichick has lost touch with the game, because clearly he hasn't. But I think maybe having somebody else make draft decisions, and maybe he needs to relinquish his GM duties. He is getting older.
Yeah, I've never understood the coach GM phenomenon when it comes to this stuff. I don't understand the full control. Parcells did it. He did it well, and I know Belichick has kind of duplicated it in that way. I think one of the reasons why he had such good rapport, I wouldn't say good rapport with Tom Brady, was because he wanted to win just as badly as Tom Brady did.
Yes.
Tom Brady had that chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
From the jump. That's why he was that's why he was who he was for so long. And in a way, Bill Belichick was the same way. I mean, go back to I don't know if Dustin, you're old enough to remember this, but Bill Belichick was coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
He's coach of the Cleveland Browns from 1992 to 1995 when they moved,
because
he moved to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was the coach of their last, and he had a coaching staff in there. I mean, Nick Saban was on that coaching staff.
He was defensive coordinator of that staff. That group. Yeah,
there was a lot. There was Thomas Dimitroff was working there,
and he put together he put together a pretty good team. And Carl Banks joined him, signed with him when Belichick went over there. He managed to bring back Carl Banks with him. He signed Vinny Testaverde and helped resurrect his career. Had Eric Metcalf, one of the greatest return specialists of all time. Had a really decent team, but he just couldn't work things out. And then when Cleveland was announced they were moving, the Browns announced they were moving to Baltimore, he was let go, and they brought in I think it was Brian Billick.
Yes, Brian Billick was, I believe, the first head coach in Ravens. Yeah.
And then Belichick went and joined Parcells in New England, went to the Jets with him, was the coach of the Jets for about a handful of hours before he wrote on a napkin, "No, screw this, I'm out of here, I'm going to New England." And the rest is history.
Yeah.
So you got two guys with chips on their shoulders wanting to prove that they could do this, and they did it. They won 6, to their credit, they won 6 Super Bowls together. But now with Mac Jones, I think you should give Mac Jones a chance. But I think Belichick before long, I think Belichick has maybe 2-3 seasons, and I think he calls it quits. Yeah. That's when Mac Jones' contract, I wouldn't say it doesn't. That's when Mac Jones' rookie deal is completed. Mm-hmm. So I think once Mac Jones's deal is completed, I think Belichick is done. My humble opinion. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Rystradamus again. Shall we earmark the calendar for 3 years from now?
All right. We got one more thing before we wrap things up. First, we want to talk about a new affiliate sponsor with no credentials required. That is Caldera Labs. Very exciting news. They are a new sponsor for our show. Say goodbye to the generic face wash on your counter, because Caldera Lab is here to save the day when it comes to your skin. Backed by a leading clinical trial where 9 out of 10 men experience healthier and visibly improved skin, Caldera Lab has the tools to unlock your best first impression and confidence. And today, we have an exclusive offer for our audience. You could try Caldera Lab. You can try Caldera Lab for your skin needs. Go to calderalab.com/no creds. It's Caldera Lab, CALDERA lab.com/no creds. You can get yourself a deal with 20% off their best products. And I gotta tell you, I've tried some of their products. And look, I'm not getting any younger. As a man in his mid-40s, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my darndest to take care of myself physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And those are the 4 pistons that make life go. And physically is one of those pistons. So, I'm going to brag on myself a little bit. I'm officially down 50 pounds since December 2021.
Hey,
I feel
congratulations.
Great. I feel, thank you. I feel great, but skincare is just as important as taking care of your food intake, your sleep, your exercise. Skincare is also equally as important. And I've tried some of these products, and they're excellent products. The face wash is great. The serum, the eye serum is awesome. The night serum is just as great. So you want to get yourself a great tool for your skincare needs. So again, go to calderalab.com/no creds and unlock a special offer for 20% off your order. Help the show. Take my word for it. great products. You don't want to go. You're not going to go wrong with these products. So we're gonna conclude this particular recording with a fun little topic. What is one event in sports history you would change? And I kind of threw this at Dustin a few hours before we went on air, and my apologies for that because I'm trying to think of a good topic for a discussion.
It's a great one.
And and I'll tell you my reasons. I've got several on my mind, but Dustin, I want to hear yours. You're thinking of what is one event in sports history that you would change?
All right. Well, I'm gonna cheat here. I'll keep it relatively short because I am very curious to hear what you've cooked up. But I will say the first thing that came to my mind when you asked me about this, and this is purely selfish reasons, okay? Purely selfish reasons. I would change the Wayne Gretzky trade. I would get into Peter Pocklington's mind and I would say, pay Wayne Gretzky. He's going to be the absolute man. You want him in Edmonton. You can win so many more Stanley Cups. Keep him there. He wants to be there. The city wants him there. Don't trade him to the LA Kings. Now, there are some people that would argue that his trade to the Kings elevated the sport of hockey because he was on a larger stage and it helped make LA a hockey town for a brief moment there.
Yeah, it changed the trajectory of the popularity of the NHL forever.
Yeah, which this is why I said complete selfish reasons. I can only, as an Oiler fan, I can only dream what could have happened if Wayne Gretzky had been able to stay in Edmonton. So that was the first event that came to my mind that I said, hey, we should change. My honorable mention, I'm keeping it real quick because I think they were done dirty. This is no offense to Oklahoma and the fans of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think you deserve a team. I just don't think you should have been able to steal another cities. I think the Sonics should still be in Seattle. I think it would have been.
Thank you.
You would have had Kevin Durant in Seattle, and let's just put Sonic uniforms.
Technically, they did.
They did.
One season.
Yes, for one season. There's pictures of him out there in a Sonics uniform. There is. But you would have had Kevin Durant in Seattle. And then let's say they stayed in Seattle, but they drafted the same. You would have had James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and a young Kevin Durant in Seattle. It would have electrified the NBA to have those three on the same team in a market like Seattle. Who knows what could have happened? I, for one, and I think there still should be a basketball team in Seattle. I hope they get their Sonics back one day, but that's my honorable mention.
You know what's funny is that David Stern, after they announced that they were moving to Oklahoma City, said, yeah, we're going to bring a team back to Seattle. And the NHL said, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Gary Bear was like, hold my beer. And I think it's still laughable that the NHL has a team in Seattle and NBA does not. Yeah.
It's ridiculous because the NBA went through all those painstaking things to say, okay, the records are going to stay with the Sonics logo and everything are going to stay, the colors are going to stay, so that when you have a team again, so you get Sonics fans all hopeful and they're like, oh, maybe, well, it should have never been taken away from us in the first place, but maybe we could have like a resurgence like the NFL did with the Cleveland Browns, like they just come back a little later. And it hasn't gone great for the Browns since that happened, but at least they still have a team. You know, yeah. The city of Seattle is still stuck without a team. And as you said, it's laughable because there was that whole debacle over that was half of Clay Bennett's reasoning, even though he just wanted the team in Oklahoma City from the jump. But he was like, oh, the Key Arena is not fit to host a modern NBA team. And we can't upgrade it, and we just need Seattle. You need a new arena. Well, the NHL got it done. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they did. So NBA. I have two. The first one is I would redo Super Bowl 20. The reason why is because I watched the replay the other day of that Super Bowl, the 46 defense of the Bears absolutely destroying New England Patriots.
Okay.
But the biggest reason why I would replay that game is because Walter Payton could get a touchdown. They tried so hard to get Walter Payton his chance to go to the ends to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and they couldn't do it. And they couldn't do it, and it broke my heart because I remember watching the documentary The 85 Bears, the 30 for 30, the 85 Bears, which is one of my favorite 30 for 30 documentaries, along with King's Ransom. I'm not sure if you've ever watched King's Ransom.
Oh, I have.
That was the first 30 for 30. That was the first ever 30 for 30 when Peter Berg broke down the Wayne Gretzky trade that happened.
Yep. I was there. I was there day one to watch that. As soon as I heard that it was about the Gretzky trade, I was there. I was like, I'm watching this.
I was 12 days short of turning 11 years old when that happened. So I remember the day it happened because it was so important because it was on NBC Nightly News. That's how important that's how big the news was.
Yeah.
I remember I was sitting at my house and we're eating dinner and I saw like Wayne Gretzky traded to the Los Angeles Kings. I'm like, what? Yeah. So yeah, that Walter Payton getting his touchdown. The other sports event I would change is Game 6 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Final. Because the Devils would have won back-to-back Stanley Cups. If they had shown up that game at Continental Airlines Arena, at that time it was called Brendan Byrne Arena. If they had shown up for that game, it would have been completely different history. Also, I would have also had the Devils trade for Ray Bourque in 2000.
Oh yeah,
because he would have won a Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils and not the Colorado
Avalanche.
The
Avs. Yeah. No, those are good ones. And hey, you're bringing to mind a couple more that I forgot about. I would like to just change the outcome of the final, the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, and the NBA Finals, respectively, in the year 2006. Because in the year 2006, do you know what happened?
Yeah, Seattle lost to the Steelers.
Correct.
The Oilers lost to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Correct.
What was the other one?
The Dallas Mavericks lost to the Miami Bennett Salvatores. Sorry, I mean the Miami Heat. they lost. Dwayne Wade was getting so many calls. And I will say, you should never do it. But Dallas came out on fire that series. They were up. I forget how many games they were up, but they had a commanding lead in the NBA Finals. And then they were planning the parade route, and it came out that they were planning the parade route. So that's on Dallas. That's on Dallas for that.
That's on Mark Cuban for that.
But you got to give. I mean, go back and watch some of the 2006 NBA Finals, the games 5 and 6, I believe. Dwayne Wade was getting Bennett Salvatore. If Dwayne Wade got breathed on his way to the Heat, on the way to the hoop, Bennett Salvatore was like, foul. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So I would like to change each championship game from 2006.
Yeah, but you got him back in 2011.
Yeah, we did, and that was the more sweet one. That was the more sweet one.
My other honorable mention is the 1982 AFC Championship, and I keep saying to this day, I think Don Shula is still laughing in hell from the fact that he didn't cover up the field of the Orange Bowl when it torrential downpours the night before. And that messed up the Jets' chances of winning the AFC Championship.
Yeah, man.
Never forgive him. Never forgive him.
I mean, and nice, nice insinuation that Don Shula's in hell. I enjoyed that one because you just kind of slid it in there. This is a good one.
Allegedly.
Yeah. I hope they serve a lot of steak down there.
Make sure it's well done.
Yeah. You're not going to a Shula's Steakhouse anytime soon.
Probably not. I'm probably not welcome there either. Well, folks, we're going to wrap things up in just a moment. But before we do that, we just want to remind you about our social media channels on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/at NoCredsREQ. For watching live or you're watching on replay, we appreciate you. On the audio side, subscribe to the podcast on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, or wherever you podcast. Rate and review. We may even read it on the air. And if you're watching the replay, leave us a comment too.
Yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We love our fans. So, for Dustin Henry, my broadcast partner, my name is Ryan McCarthy, and we are the hosts of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports, presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. We will let you know when we're going to broadcast next, but in the meantime, however you celebrate, whether you're celebrating Passover, whether you're celebrating Easter, or you're just hanging out and just being cool, thank you for joining us. Oh, and Wonko the Saint says, "Love you guys." We love you too, Wonko. Thank you for joining
thanks
us.
for tuning in, Wonko.
We
Great to see
appreciate you. But we'll let you know when we're going to be recording or live streaming next. But that's why you want to stay tuned to our social media channels so you know when we're going to be on. But in the meantime, have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Good night, everybody.